Nobody wants to save the American penis.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-drunk fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. White Beater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She lives in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public benefit. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the bloody spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do the show live on Twitch every Sunday, usually at 7 p.m. Pacific. We're starting at 8 tonight. Sorry about that for anybody watching live that was sad when I wasn't here at 7. You can support this project at echoplexmedia.com. Click the support link at the top of the page. Find your favorite way to support. We have great new Pride merch out for this month. This is all a listener and viewer supported project. And, things have been a little bit rough lately. So I would, implore anybody who's listening, especially on the podcast, to think about supporting this project. Anyway, I am producer Dave. I can be found on the website Grindr, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong, donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
Generally, when we talk about things that happened at a board of supervisors or county commissioners meeting or city council meeting or whatever, it's here in California, oftentimes in Shasta. But friends, in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, well, I mean, Shasta, come on, Shasta, take note of what other people are doing. They're up in the fucking game.
And new this morning, right here on WCNC Plus, Mecklenburg County leaders responding after somebody released bugs into the meeting room last night at last night's county commission meeting, causing them to get escorted out shortly after. Take a look.
In violation of NCGS 143-318.17 by disrupting the meeting, you're subject to being escorted out of the meeting chamber and charged with a misdemeanor if you don't cease talking. So I think if there are items being passed around with bugs or whatever we got going on, I'd like the officers to please check that out, please. All right, we're gonna wait until we can get order, maintain order. It's a shame that we do this in front of the young lady like that.
All right, some sort of protesters there. They say the county condemns any inappropriate or disruptive behavior during these meetings and that abuse of public participation will not be tolerated.
Yo, don't like fucking let a bunch of bugs loose at a fucking meeting, dude. Just fucking crazy. Like that is the fucking, that's like, I mean, that's not the craziest thing that's happened this week, by the way, but that's fucking crazy. Like Shasta, you're falling down on the job. Nobody has released a horde of cicadas at the fucking board of supervisors meeting yet. So we got next, we got a whole thing about like ICE this week, like leading into today. But we're going to start with, it looks like ICE was dressed up as utility workers, going to offer people a free estimate as they were trying to get information about someone's neighbor or trying to conduct their fascism. So here we go.
Suspected were immigration enforcement officers. They say not only were they in unmarked vehicles, but they were asking unusual questions and claimed that they worked with Tucson Electric Power.
Don't open the door. What do you mean? They don't have a warrant.
This video shows two men looking for the man inside the home, asking about a missed court date, but this neighbor jumped into action.
And I was like, no, don't open the door. And then they're like, this is ICE. And I said, yes, this is ICE. And
Christine Carino says the incident started when they asked her questions while watering her yard, saying they were with Tucson Electric Power. She says that's when they started walking toward her neighbor's home.
so the young boy, which is a stepson, allowed them to come in thinking they're from Tucson Electric Power. And you're lying. You are not in a uniform. This is.
But she quickly confronted the impersonators. Spokesperson
Hell yeah.
Electric Power told me their vehicles are
Baby, this is neighborhood watch, right? This ain't no neighborhood watch like this.
always marked and they always identify themselves, which wasn't the case here. And why this neighbor
Get out.
wanted others to know what was going on.
What advice would you give to people in other neighborhoods around Tucson after what you experienced?
Know who comes in and out. Pay attention, you know. If you are able to help, help. It's only right. It's humane. He didn't have no warrant, not wanted person. And because we voiced for him, we all started coming together. He was able to stay home.
We have reached out to confirm whether these were ICE or Homeland Security agents, but we haven't heard back just yet. Now, in the meantime, Tucson Electric Power is sharing more information on how to make sure the people that you're speaking to aren't impersonators. We'll have that and further
Yo, what the
information on
fuck?
our website at kgun9.com. Reporting from the south side of Tucson, Raina Preciado.
Yo, the power company's all out there like ACAB and shit. The power company's like, hey man, listen, we fuck you over too. Don't get it twisted, but like, we're not going to deport you. So here's how you determine if the person that you're seeing is actually working for us. So we got, this is from a couple days ago. It's June 3rd. So that June 3rd, I'm all checking the days. It would be Tuesday. In Minneapolis, the ICE and the FBI raided a taco restaurant. And they were dressed in like battle gear. So fucking things are deteriorating. If people remember, in 2020, the uprising started in Minneapolis, and people have a long fucking memory.
Is this what you want to be doing?
Lower your mask.
Oh, show your face. Uh-oh. Yo, yeah, these are like when you're gonna see, as the protests go on, you're gonna see images, and it's gonna show a lot of like young people, a lot of young black and brown people. But the reality is, like, fucking, like, older people be coming out, dude. That everybody we saw in that crowd they were not super young. And don't let the media, especially right-wing media, but even like what people think of as the liberal media or the center media, don't let them get it fucking twisted. This is not a bunch of fucking punk kids. This is people who live in communities who are coming out about this stuff. These are patrons, for example, of the taco restaurant here, or neighbors, or friends of the people who work there, parents of the people who work there. These are regular people. Do not let them fucking convince you otherwise. Up next, we got some footage from LA. Some of the stuff is a little bit troubling. Here's our first clip from Los Angeles. All this happening under the American flag is incredibly appropriate. The American flag has been used as like a fucking swastika for years. Like the whole time, actually. Like, what are they shooting? Are those fucking paintballs? They're gonna pepper balls, maybe less than lethal rounds. But like, why? I don't understand why the fuck they were shooting anybody. I mean, I know why. They're fucking pigs. But like, there was no like justification. There's no like reasonable justification to fire anything at those people. They're yelling at them. I guess somebody threw a bottle at the building. But like, get the fuck out of here. You're in full fucking riot gear. Somebody throwing a bottle at the building is not like a threat to you. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Here's more of this. This is just a few clips I gathered from today. I did, you know, there's so much footage from out there, and I encourage people to watch it and don't look away, because this is just the beginning, motherfuckers. The summer's coming, and this is just the beginning. Yeah, they were looking for the fraud, waste, and abuse. I fucking found it here.
The fascist regime known as the Third Reich. Your leader Americans and Argentina. That's America. Go back.
This is like, well, I don't know what they're doing. Like, why were they firing on people? People were just on the side of the road. I don't understand this, but what we're going to be getting soon, everybody get ready for it. I was posting about it on Facebook for my normie friends. Get ready for it. We're going to get this. We're going to get a bunch of fucking libs. I'm telling you, they're going to be like upset with the fucking, the optics of the protests. They're going to act like this shit should make them comfortable. They're going to act like this shit should fucking make them feel safe and good. And because some of it doesn't, they're going to act like that the problem is the protesters. And just get ready for it. It's how they do every time. It's how they do every time. Ready for a think piece in the Atlantic from Ezra Klein? It's coming. It's coming. You're going to get all this bullshit about how these people should fucking behave themselves. And as they watch the fucking Gestapo come and take away the guy who owns the fucking their favorite taco place. I'm sorry. Like, people, like, if you want to play the optics game, you play the optics game, but don't be fucking too surprised when there are other people who are not trying to play the optics game. Here's more footage from Los Angeles.
So, LAPD told them, they already did a press release, they're not going to help them. LAPD is not assisting them to get out. They're just containing the people. They got to figure it out themselves. I don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah, they're keeping the people at bay. LAPD is keeping the people at bay. So they're not standing around doing nothing. If you get too close to LAPD, they're gonna do the smoke bombs. But they're not going to assist them in getting out. That's what they've said. They're not assisting them in getting out.
Wait a minute. What?
They're gonna have to call their daddy.
But they're not assisting. What are you talking? They're not, dude. The LAPD is assisting by fucking, like somebody in chat said, kenneling people, by fucking shooting smoke bombs if you get too close to the fucking LAPD, by doing crowd control for them. They are assisting. That person's full of shit. Just because they're not putting out the fucking red carpet because it's bad optics again for the police to do that doesn't mean they ain't helping. This is bullshit. And like we saw in 2020, this is like a literal, like a replay of something we saw in 2020. Here's an Australian reporter out there, and she gets fucking hit with a less than lethal munition, like right here on camera. We saw this in 2020 as well. Foreign press getting shot at.
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
Watch. Dude, he fucking just shot. Look at, did you fucking see that? Yo, if you're listening on the podcast, I encourage you to fucking watch this or check out the docket. Look, you fucking just looked right at her. There's a camera, like obviously like a person with a camera right there.
You just shut the fuck up.
You okay?
I'm good. Are you okay?
Yeah, sorry about that. Welcome to America, though. I mean, fuck, dude. Welcome to America, where the cops will shoot you if you're the Australian press. And this is longer. We're not gonna run too much of it. But here's an aerial shot from KTLA 5 News today that just kind of gives you a different angle of some of what was going on.
We want to head back to that breaking news of ICE raids happening in several locations across LA.
Let's get up to Rich Prickett. He's overhead one of those locations in downtown Los Angeles, the Fashion District. Rich?
Yeah, Glenn and Korean, we are back in the Fashion District. This is the Ambiance Apparel store where the FBI, Homeland Security, and ICE agents have been performed a raid a couple of hours ago, and they were inside for quite some time, and we're just now seeing some people that are being detained, being brought out from the facility here. About a couple dozen people that are now being taken into custody. Now, the FBI had brought in some reinforcements to help with the crowd control that had started to surround the building earlier on, and there was quite a scuffle, as a matter of fact, as they were trying to make room for these vans to make their way into the parking lot, where they are now detaining several people from the Ambiance Apparel store here in the Fashion District. And you see some of that crowd that still remains to the rear of the facility with all the...
Dude in the blue should have made a break for it.
Bearcats that arrived here, so they did need to bring in some backup here to help with the...
They did need to bring in, like, the way the news frames this is always such fucking dumb and shitty, like, framing.
So that they can bring in these vans. Now we're seeing a couple people being detained. This is one of a few raids we have seen early this morning, and two locations in regards to this particular company, Ambiance. Live in Sky 5 and Rich Prickett. Send it back to you.
All right, Rich, just want to point out what you see earlier. This is what took place in the Westlake District. That was this morning. That was another raid, and now we've got this separate raid taking place in the Fashion District.
And Rich, we don't know the exact nature of these raids, but during the last...
You're the news. Figure it out.
We saw some sort of scuffle taking place in the streets. Not sure if they were activists, but there were people on the ground, and they were using their bodies to obstruct vehicles that were actually driving by. So we've had some close calls here.
Yeah, we certainly have. This is what we saw earlier was over in the South LA area that was believed to be the headquarters or distribution center for this apparel company. We saw agents that were bringing out computers from the business. We saw at least two people being detained. One person that was being taken away in an ambulance that was on a stretcher. And as agents were, DEA and federal agents were trying to leave.
What the fuck was the DEA doing there?
Parking lot of that facility, people were running into the street trying to block the vehicles from leaving, nearly being ran over as they were trying to block the cars. Now we're back over here in the Fashion District, where we are also seeing a large crowd. As a matter of fact, a larger crowd, and that's where they needed to bring in.
Yeah, the people in the fashion, like they say the Fashion District, right? I think people think that it's like Milan or whatever. No, this is like where textiles are produced. This is like a working class part of LA. People who don't know might not understand what this district is. This is an industrial or a commercial area where a lot of like fast fashion that they want to say is made in the USA on their thing. It's made in places like this.
From the FBI to help with removing them from the gate, and we did see a scuffle. They were not very happy with the agents here and whatever.
They were not very happy with the agents. Come on, dude. What the fuck is going on? I mean, actually, if this is just the helicopter guy, like whatever.
Whatever the raid is in regards to, we just don't know at this point if it's strictly immigration related or if there's some other reason why they are taking all these people in the.
Oh, somebody in chat mentioned this Homeland Security investigations thing where everybody's working together. Now it gives the news the opportunity to be like, well, we saw the DEA there. Maybe it's fentanyl. And I think they're going to fucking start claiming that, right? That all these places that they're getting workers and stuff, that they're trying to do fentanyl busts. I think that's why they're fucking having this joint task force so the DEA can be there.
At least 24 people taken from this location alone.
Okay, just to let everybody know, LA Police Chief Jim McDonald released a statement which reads in part today, the LAPD did become aware that ICE was conducting operations in the city of Los Angeles. I'm aware that these actions cause anxiety for many Angelenos, so I want to make it clear the LAPD not involved in the civil immigration enforcement, while the LAPD will continue to have a visible presence. And all.
Yeah, but this is bullshit because like later the LAPD was shooting fucking like tear gas at people.
To ensure public safety, we will not assist or participate in any sort of mass deportations, nor will the LAPD try to determine an individual's immigration status. That has been the policy here in the city of Los Angeles since 1979, as the chief pointed out.
And while we don't know the exact nature of these raids, we do know that this is part of perhaps immigration crackdowns that have been happening all across the country, various communities. Again, we have been covering operations from early this morning in the Westlake District. Now 2 separate locations in downtown Los Angeles that we've been keeping our eyes on.
Dude in the blue should run. They keep using this fucking stock footage.
Rich, this location that
it's not stock footage. They keep using B-roll from earlier.
That the crowds are getting larger on the streets surrounding all of this activity, which begs a question, will there be more of a law enforcement presence there as the day progresses?
Well, we did see the crowd grow over the past couple of hours. The people that are here now it likely won't get much bigger than what it is right now as this is starting to wind down the operation. So what they're going to do is just try and keep people clear from that gate. We should see these vans.
See, they're trying to like kind of actively discouraging people from going to by saying, oh, it looks like they're kind of clearing everybody out now. It's like fucking they're trying to discourage people from going, it sounds like.
Any moment, and then once that happens, the agents will leave as well, and there won't be much to see here. But most of the crowd was at the front of the business earlier on, where they could see inside the window while the raid was happening, and then everybody.
That street isn't that big, dude. If enough people show up, they're not getting out of there. Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, you put like 1,000 people on that street, and it's gonna be real hard to get the fuck out of there.
At the store here, where they were starting to bring out some of those people that they have detained, and that's where the additional agents had arrived. You can see some of those here, some of those agents with the.
So as always, the fucking local news doing what the local news does. Fucking siding with power, and in this case it sounds like they were for sure, the guy in the helicopter was for sure, whether he knows that's what he was doing or not, he was for sure like discouraging people from going, because he was essentially saying by the time you get there this is going to be all over. And I hope people don't fucking believe them when they tell them that, and I hope fucking more people show up when they see this stuff. Don't worry though, we got a senator from Oklahoma. This is Senator James Langford, a Republican from Oklahoma. He's on the case. He'll take care of this. He understands city of Los Angeles very well, everybody. Just listen to him.
I think what President Trump's trying to do is pretty clear. He's trying to de-escalate all the tensions that are there. We're watching as Americans scenes of burning cars and intersections and people waving America.
Fuck yeah.
at local law enforcement, concrete blocks being thrown at federal law enforcement. We watched this kind of scene 5-6 years ago when there was a takeover in the Northwest around Seattle and Portland. When we watched all that,
they're not going to do a Chaz or a Chop in LA. Shut the fuck up. The LA scene is different. It's a different kind of community. They're not going to do this. It's every place is different. That's a very Seattle, Portland kind of thing.
Local law enforcement was being challenged over and over again. It finally took a National Guard presence to be able to bring it down after weeks. What President Trump is trying to do is say, this is not going to take weeks this time. We're not going to allow this to be able to spiral out of control. This is an American city. And to be able to have an American city where we have people literally flying Mexican flags and saying, you cannot arrest us, cannot be allowed. If someone...
Wait, yes, it can. It is allowed. What do you mean we can't allow this? Yes, you can. You can allow that. It's fucking First Amendment, baby. You can fly whatever flag you want. Wonder what kind of flag his most ardent supporters be flying when they have one.
It's the law. No matter what state that they're in violation of a federal law. They should face consequences for that.
Well, Senator Governor Newsom.
Holy crap, dude. That guy's crazy. He's like, can't fly a Mexican flag in an American city. Yes, you can. Especially in Los Angeles. I think you're required to fly a Mexican flag in Los Angeles. Here's Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, talking about active duty Marines possibly in Los Angeles. This is great. Let's violate fucking posse comitatus here. Here we go.
Secretary Hegseth said that active duty Marines there at Camp Pendleton, there by San Diego, are on high alert and could be mobilized. Could we really see active duty Marines on the streets of Los Angeles?
One of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed. I think that's an important signal. You don't think sending the Marines into the streets of an American city is heavy-handed? We have to be prepared to do what is necessary, and I think the notice that might happen might have the deterrent effect. Okay.
What? This is illegal. You can't, I guess the president can declare martial law or whatever, I suppose, but man, I don't know. Like, this isn't great. Here we go. This is Trump's border guy says to essentially telling you to watch out if you're protesting because you might get killed. Someone's going to lose their life. Is what he says.
The National Guard has never been deployed in that manner by the President of the United States. What's different?
President Trump is sending the National Guard to help us protect public safety here. You've seen the videos. Go to these protests and see what's happening. We got protesters making threats against officers, assaulting officers. Now, just recently, in the last hour, we got protesters with Molotov cocktails. The protesters are purposely trying to overwhelm law enforcement. President Trump's being the National Guard. Again, I want to be clear. Not just to protect the law enforcement officers, to protect this community. Because people are going to get injured. I'm telling you, the rhetoric is so high against ICE officers in this city. It's a matter of time before someone gets seriously hurt.
You said killed earlier today.
Absolutely.
You believe that ICE might kill someone on the streets of LA?
What I said was, if this rhetoric continues, this violence continues, someone's going to lose their life. It's an anti-Trump agenda, anti-ICE agenda, and they're going to keep coming. But we got help coming, and we're going to do our job, and we're going to continue.
What the fuck? This guy's out there telling people that ICE is. He didn't say it, but you don't got to say it in so many words. I know what I'm. I'm picking up what he's putting down, and I think you are too.
You've also mentioned Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom, and there have been threats, previously that if you stand in the way of your enforcement operations, you could be subject potentially to arrest. Are you saying that about Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom? Are they at risk of being arrested?
Listen, people don't be loving no Mayor Bass in L.A., but you arrest the mayor of Los Angeles, you lay a finger on the mayor of Los Angeles, and things are gonna explode there. Again, you don't got to love the mayor of the city to be an Angelino and be like, you did what?
Anybody, you cross that line. It's a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. It's a felony to impede law enforcement from doing their job.
Do you think that the mayor of LA is doing that?
If she crossed that line, we'll ask the DOJ to prosecute. Do I think she's crossed the line? I don't think she's crossed the line yet. But I'm telling you, the warning we're sending is we're not going to tolerate people attacking our officers.
I'd love to get your response to Governor.
Yeah, but the mayor, wait, what the fuck? Okay, so let's take this at face value for a second. I don't take any of this as face value. This is just a threat. This is a straight up threat to the mayor of Los Angeles and the mayor to any other city in this country. If they try to use what power they have as a mayor to try to help the communities that are being affected by the ICE raids, they're saying that the fucking Gestapo is going to come arrest them. But the problem here is that the mayor isn't going to be out there throwing a brick at the fucking law enforcement. The mayor just isn't. In fact, that there's no reason for even if the mayor believes strongly in the cause and believes that a brick is the right answer, the mayor has many other levers that can be pulled from the mayor's office, not just official, but like through unofficial channels, because the mayor's got a network of fucking people and some of them people got resources. So the mayor's not going to be out there doing any of this stuff. Even like assuming that the mayor is like who he's claiming she is, that she's some kind of fucking Antifa super soldier leader or whatever, which Mayor Bass certainly is not. But this is all just a message, right? Because the mayor ain't going to be out there. The mayor not going to be harboring anybody in her home, in her office, none of that.
Essentially, your actions here are provocative, and the quote that he used was sowing chaos.
Like Governor Newsom's an embarrassment for the state. That, he's the one that's feeding this mantra. He supports sanctuary cities. He supports sanctuary laws. If he cared about public safety in the state of California, he would not have a sanctuary for criminals.
What do you say to the people who show up because they're scared, because their children saw potentially federal agents outside their school yesterday, or their dad saw them outside Home Depot?
There's no one outside of school. Come on.
There are reports of seeing agents outside of schools or in Starbucks parking lots.
ICE does not do operations in schools and churches unless we're looking for a significant public safety threat and national security threat. And the reason we did away with that policy.
Why not churches?
That's the location policy.
All right, LA churches, do your thing.
Because President Trump and this administration is making it clear there is no sanctuary for a public safety threat and national security threat in this country. You can't point to one raid at a school, or one raid at a church, or one raid at a hospital.
If these protests continue to happen on the streets of Los Angeles, do you anticipate similar interactions with your agents?
They cross the line, they'll be arrested.
I think a lot of people are worried about what you had said, about potentially people could be killed.
I'm worried about it too. I worry about it every day. Every night I go to bed. Last time I went to bed, I prayed.
Yeah, but he's going to do that. I guarantee you, he's going to be like, I'm worried about an illegal going to kill somebody.
Officers go home safe, and I prayed that the protesters would be safe. But when you cross that line and you cause this type of violence, it's only common sense. I've been doing this a long time. The rhetoric keeps rising and rising and rising. Someone's going to get hurt.
The governor's essentially saying the opposite, that the rhetoric and the escalation is coming from you.
Well, the governor, look, I have absolutely no respect for this governor. I can say it again, he's an embarrassment to the state because criminal aliens are walking the streets of this state every day because of him and his policies. I don't care what the governor thinks of me. I'm not running a popularity contest.
Yo, wouldn't it be great if California had a governor that hadn't burned down all of his credibility by having fucking glad handing with like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon on a fucking podcast while all this was starting to happen? Aren't you glad we have a governor who is fucking... Aren't you glad that the governor is this guy? Aren't you glad? Isn't it great? Maybe he'll have Enrique Tarrio on next time. More on Enrique Tarrio later during Red Light. God, it would be great if the city of... Or if they, even if the mayor of LA wasn't like all fucking hooked in with Scientology and shit, dude. Maybe it would be great if we had good public officials. San Francisco, if shit cracks off in San Francisco, they got that fucking venture capital, fucking effective altruist asshole as their mayor. Fucking San Jose, they got fucking Mayor Ed 209. They got Matt Mahan in San Jose. What's Matt Mahan going to do to help the fucking people of San Jose if some of this starts happening in San Jose and the people of the communities come out? What's Matt Mahan going to do? Going to go clear. He's going to be like, you know what? There's a homeless camp near there. Let's clear the homeless camp. Make sure that everybody's safe. All right, here's our president had a meeting with the German chancellor. They're going to talk about D-Day. Not great. This is embarrassing.
June 6th, tomorrow, this is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant.
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
We will.
Oh, dude, but oh man, so these other world leaders are pretty smart. They're like, you know how strong America is. America's in a very strong position. I mean, they're trying to play this guy, right? It looks like they're kowtowing to him, but they're trying to play him, I think. So here we got more. Apparently, I don't know where this motherfucker is buying his gas, but apparently gas is under $2. I don't think that's the case. I think you'd be hard pressed to find because he says it's $1.98. Let's see here.
We're devastated. The last administration, in my opinion, the most unsuccessful administration maybe in the history of our country. Grocery prices went through the roof. While grocery prices now are down, you remember they were talking about eggs. My first week in office, the press was screaming about eggs. Eggs have gone up 287%. I said, I'm sorry, I just got here. And the eggs went up. Now the eggs are down at the same price they were. We got them all the way down. And we had 3 weeks ago.
Well, it depends where you go. There's still retailers gouging you.
Easter, we had an egg hunt, an egg roll, they called it. And they said, sir, could you order, a couple of months ago, could you order plastic eggs? I said, we're not ordering plastic eggs. And by the time we had the event, eggs were all the way down. But think of it, grocery prices are down, gasoline prices are down, and we're down just in time. $1, we had numerous states, $1.98 a gallon, just in time for Memorial Day weekend. How about that? Good time.
I'm skeptical. There might be like some gas station somewhere where the fucking gas is $1.98, but that's like not a normal thing. I understand that because of where I live in the Bay Area, and I live right by the freeway too. So gas is going to be like expensive here because it's right by the freeway. But I don't think it's like less than half of what it is here in very many places, if any. All right, everybody. Did you know that we're going to start building the bananas? We're going to build the bananas right here in the USA. That's going to solve the problem. What do you mean this? Oh, Blue Sky. That's why. Yep, everybody. We're going to have American bananas. Check it out.
What's the tariff on bananas? Americans, by the way, love bananas. We buy billions of them a year. I love bananas. What's the tariff on bananas?
The tariff on bananas would be representative of the countries that produce them.
And what's that tariff?
Generally 10%.
Correct, 10%. Walmart has already increased the cost of bananas by 8%.
But as countries do deals with us, that will go to zero. As countries do deals with us, that will go to zero. But the cost is on the American
consumer now and on the businesses with the confusion now. Mr. Secretary, I believe you know better. I believe you recognize that a trade deficit is not.
No, stop trying to appeal to these people's better angels or whatever.
I believe you know that predictability, stability is essential for businesses. I wish you would show that truth to this administration. And I yield back.
Time of the gentlelady is expired.
Would you mind, Mr. Chairman, if I make one quick comment to the end? Would that be okay?
I'm sorry?
Would you mind if I make one quick comment to the representative?
Sure. Please.
There's no uncertainty if you build in America and you produce your product in America. There will be no tax.
Homeboy, you can't grow bananas in America.
We can't produce bananas in America.
Building in America and paying no tariff is very, very clear.
We cannot
Fighting
build bananas in America.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
Man, how fucking frustrating must this be talking to these fucking people? I ain't got no love for fucking most of the House or the Senate or whatever, but Jesus Christ, these people, they're just like, this dude knows that you can't fucking grow bananas in America. Build back banana. fuck? So apparently there's a claim that that there's going to be a 4% growth in the U.S. economy in the second half of the year. And even Maria Bartiromo was like, I don't know about that. And so she's asking homeboy here, Senator Roger Marshall, and he's going to tell you essentially that it's just vibes, actually.
A lot of these senators are not really looking at the kind of growth that you're expecting or that the White House is expecting. Kevin Hassett said to expect 4%, potentially 4% growth in the second half of the year. What would trigger that kind of growth in your view in the second half?
Well, I think number one is just an attitude. Already back home, I'm seeing manufacturing jobs grow and grow and grow that we can't keep up with the orders. And I think that's probably because the president
can't keep up with the orders.
I think the deregulation will add a 0.5%, maybe a 1% growth. I think those are the first steps. But it's just this general attitude that we're the start of a new economy. I think that the American consumer still drives the economy in so many ways, and I think that this tax bill alone is going to drive up growth as well. By making those Trump tax cuts permanent, it's going to give us significant growth. I think about R&D especially is going to allow this economy to grow if we're able to write all of that off each year.
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck? Like, even if these things were going to work, they don't just all this, like, I don't think this stuff's going to work. This is all dumb, right? This is just giveaways to corporations and the wealthy. But let's say that this stuff did work. Well, it doesn't work immediately. It takes some time for policy to have an effect in a country with hundreds of millions of people. All right, up next. We got Mark Wayne Mullen. Just going to say that just because the president said something doesn't really mean he said it. I hate when this happens, when you say something, but it's not really what you were saying. And everybody takes it out of context by repeating exactly what you said.
Like it was in America's best interest for national security interests.
But can I ask you on that? And that's your argument for why he did it. The president himself, when he announced this tonight, the White House posted a video. He cites Boulder at the top. It was an Egyptian national who was the suspect there. So he himself was saying that's why. So people may say, well, then why was Egypt not included on this list?
Well, we used it as an example of why we need to do this stuff, but that wasn't why he said he did it. He just used it as an example. We could go back through and use several different activities if you want to. That's just fresh on people's mind. You know as much as anything, when you're doing retail, you sell what's fast. What is on people's mind at the time. This is explaining why we're doing it, but this isn't the reason why it was done.
But it's part of the reason.
I wouldn't say that. Because I'm telling you, we had already been briefed before we went on Memorial Weekend break. We were briefed on these specific travel bans.
Yes, it was under consideration. Well, let's just listen to the president himself, what he said tonight.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
So if that is part of the rationale, I mean, that would apply to this suspect here. So should Egypt be on the list?
No, absolutely not. But he said underscored. He said underscores the reason. He didn't specifically say Egypt. He said underscores the reasons why we need to do this. Once again, he's using it as an example because it's fresh on people's mind. But that doesn't mean that Egypt has to be on it. Egypt was never being considered at this level for a travel ban. That was not one of the ones we were getting briefed on a couple weeks ago. There's specific reasons.
So this would not have stopped what happened in Boulder.
If we had stricter travel plans, if we had President Trump in office, this gentleman probably wouldn't still be in the United States. What we had is 4 years of the Biden administration that didn't care about our immigration policy at all, and no one can argue that point. You can't argue that. Jake can't argue that. No one can argue
about.
I like how you like, and a lot of people do this. They're like, I said this, and no one can argue the opposite. And then if you try to argue the opposite, he goes, no fair. I told you can't argue the opposite. People might be able to argue the opposite.
Tapper?
Yeah, I'm just throwing him out. He comes on right.
I think he's probably like, why am I catching a stray here?
I like the guy sometimes.
I think people might just wonder, if the logic is the concern is vetting people who come into the United States on visas and overstay those visas. That is exactly the suspect who is charged here.
Sure.
But Trump didn't say that. He said it underscores it. Like, dude, it's because the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know. They got some fucking. He probably thinks Egypt is cool, right? Like, who knows why Egypt wasn't included on this dumbass list of fucking countries where you can't come visit from. Up next, we got this is a Democratic representative from New York, Dan Goldman. Actually seems to understand the current state of the Trump immigration policy, or the Trump immigration order. More people need to just say this, because this is like what's going on.
The other executive action that President Trump took tonight, banning travel from these 12 nations, restricting it partially from 7 others. What is your reaction to that move from the White House tonight?
I mean, it's pretty consistent with what his quote unquote immigration policy is, which is just essentially to keep anyone who's not white out of the country. And that's what he's trying to do with these mass deportations of people who are going through the asylum process, which is a lawful pathway. That's now what he's trying to do in targeting these specific countries. And so it's a combination of this effort to push forward with this great replacement theory, as well as just to distract.
Yeah, this dude knows kind of what's going on here.
What's really going on, which is a revolt against his terrible reconciliation bill that cuts taxes for billionaires and increases our deficit by $2.5 trillion.
I read through the
That's not for Trump. That's not a terrible bill. That means the fucking government gets to take out a loan to fucking help his rich friends. That's not a terrible bill for Trump. That's exactly what he wants to do. Did you know we have to have somebody break it down on MSNBC for some people to understand? Did you know that the Republican tax bill is going to cut taxes for the wealthy and leave everybody else holding the bag? Did you know that? I guess we need a chart from MSNBC.
If you're in the top 20% of Americans, you're going to get roughly a 3.7% increase in your after-tax income, really all from these tax cuts. But if you go all the way to the bottom, and everything in between essentially leads you to the bottom, if you're in the bottom 20%, you actually lose $800. Why do you lose $800? You get a very small tax cut, and you get a very large cut in Medicaid and these other benefits that we were just talking about that affects the 20% disproportionately. So this is a highly regressive bill that essentially favors the wealthy, doesn't do much for the middle class, and hurts the poor. And then if you want to see this in stark comparison, if we simply eliminated the tax cuts for people making over $500,000 a year, which is roughly what President Biden was proposing, it would save $1.1 trillion. That happens to be just slightly more than the Medicaid cuts and the food stamps, or SNAP cuts, if you will, put together. So if we simply eliminated these tax cuts, we could eliminate these budget cuts on these poor people and end up, from a budget point of view, in the same place.
Oh, now the normies probably understand it because they fucking put it on a chart on MSNBC. But yeah, of course, the rich get richer and the poor get fucked. And we're like not talking about like, we're talking about food stamps and shit, dude. This is like whether or not somebody's kids get to eat. Like, government's like trying to, we're going to give you some tax incentives to have kids. But if you're poor, well, maybe we weren't talking about you so much, actually. We don't want poor people to have kids, because some of the poor people are, black. We don't want them having kids. Trying to get the great replacement to stop here. So this is a little bit weird. Even this crazy old fucker, this is Senator Kennedy, and not a good Senator Kennedy. Even this crazy old fucker like understands what's going on. That this tariff thing is all really bad and stupid. And this dude is a piece of shit too. It's not like you got to hand it to him. It's just like even he gets it, which is different than you got to hand it to him.
If Vietnam, for example, came to you tomorrow and said, okay, Mr. Secretary, you win. We're going to remove all tariffs and all trade barriers. Would the United States please do the same? Would you accept that deal?
Absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. That would be the silliest thing we could do.
Why is that?
Vietnam has a $125 billion exports to us and imports from us $12.5 million. And you're thinking, Vietnam exports $125 billion?
I'm aware of the figures, but tell me.
But where do they get it from? They buy $90 billion from China, Then they mark it up and send it to us.
Fuck yeah. Head of
You
Vietnam.
way of China to us.
You wouldn't accept that deal.
No, it's a terrible deal. We're the one with money. We're the one with the store. Of course they want us to take
What's
down.
the purpose of reciprocity then? Is reciprocity not one of your goals? Are you telling the president that we shouldn't seek reciprocity? If that's what you're telling him, why are you trying to do these trade deals?
What do we want? We want to encourage Vietnam to produce products they're great at producing.
But I want to get back to reciprocity. You just said you don't believe in you don't accept reciprocity as a goal. What are you negotiating in these trade deals?
Why would we open our bank account and their bank account when
Why are
ours is
you
10 times
negotiating
bigger?
trade deals? You're trying to get other countries to lower their tariffs and trade barriers in return for us lowering ours.
That's true for the things that they'll take from us.
That's called reciprocity.
Of course.
So are you or are you not seeking reciprocity in these trade deals?
We are absolutely seeking reciprocity with respect to things that can be reciprocal.
But you just said,
but when they're importing from China and sending it to us, they're
you just said that
not.
if a country came to you and offered you the ultimate reciprocity, no tariffs, no trade barriers, in return for us doing the same, you would reject that.
Of course, because they buy from China and send it to us. Don't you agree with me?
Suppose they said we won't buy from China.
Now we're talking. If it was Vietnam,
would you accept that deal?
We would consider it for what things? For
what
products?
Would you want to change?
Well, there are certain products we want to reshore. We don't want other people making them. We want to make pharmaceuticals here.
Right.
We need to protect ourselves.
Yo, what a dumbass. Imagine literally that fucking Senator Kennedy from Louisiana is one of the stupidest motherfuckers in all of Congress. Like one of the worst people too, just one of the absolute worst people. And he's up there what about what do you mean? Why won't you just deal with Vietnam? Like, shouldn't we just deal with Vietnam? Like the worst dude in the world. You don't gotta hand it to him. Don't get it twisted. You don't got to hand it to the guy, but I mean, he sort of gets it. And I read a little bit about this. There's a lot of Vietnamese people in Louisiana, and they tend to vote for Republicans. So that might be sort of what's going on here, possibly. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he just got annoyed. Maybe he figured out that this is stupid and got annoyed. I don't know. He's an old man. He got old man annoyed. Up next, did you know that the left runs the Congressional Budget Office?
Beautiful bill. You said recently that it is, quote, blatantly wrong to say that it adds to the deficit. You essentially said that an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office and other scorekeepers you believe are wrong. But Republicans like Ron Johnson and Rand Paul disagree. They are saying that it will add to the deficit. That is their concern. Is the White House's position that those two Republican senators are, quote, blatantly wrong?
It is. Those senators, it's not news that they disagree with this president on policy, and the president has vocally called them out for it and for their not having their facts together. I would add the Congressional Budget Office has been historically wrong. In fact, they predicted the Trump tax cuts from the president's first term in 2017. Their prediction was wrong by $500 billion. Those tax cuts had nearly $500 billion more of revenue than the Congressional Budget Office scored. And I would also point out, I don't think many people know
this is dumb as fuck because these are projections. I think they make 3. Doesn't the CBO make 3? They make a conservative or what they think is a realistic and a best case scenario prediction.
Single staffer in the entire Congressional Budget Office that has contributed to a Republican since the year 2000. But guess what? There have been many staffers within the Congressional Budget Office who have contributed to Democrat candidates and politicians every single cycle since. So unfortunately,
the CBO is left. It's Antifa. Oh my God, those people. It's because a lot of them live in fucking Washington, D.C. You're pulling from the labor pool that is where your office is. So yeah, in D.C. it's going to be a lot of Democrats. Man, imagine having to keenly point out the obvious to fucking Josh Hawley. Just imagine this woman, her name is Kate Shaw. She's a professor of some kind, and she's gonna have to point out the obvious to Josh Hawley here.
The principle of when an injunction binding non-parties, which was never done in this country before the 1960s. And let's see the chart, the Trump chart, which was done really only once Trump came into office for the first time. You don't think this is a little bit anomalous? You don't think that's a little bit strange?
A very plausible explanation, Senator, you have to consider is that he is engaged in much more lawless activity than other presidents, right?
She's like, it's possible that these injunctions have been against the president because the things he's trying to do are unconstitutional. You have to at least consider that.
You must concede that as a
never
possibility.
used before the 1960s, and suddenly Democrat judges decide we love the nationwide injunction. And then when Biden comes to office, no, actually.
It's Republican appointees as well, Senator. And the 1960s is where some scholars locate the beginning of this. But
identify one
others,
before then?
Mila Sahoni, who's another scholar of universal injunction, suggests 1913 is actually the first, and others in the 20s.
The Republic endured for 150 years before there was a nationwide injunction.
Well, the federal government was doing a lot less until 100 years ago. So there's many things that have changed in the last 100 or the last 50 years.
So long as it is a Democrat president in office, then we should have no nationwide injunctions. If it's a Republican president, then this is absolutely fine, warranted, and called for. How can our system of law survive?
What an idiot.
Principles, Professor.
I think a system in which there are no meaningful constraints on the president is a very dangerous system.
He was fucking he was mad at her. He was man speaking to her. She was like, those were not, he's like, these are all Democrats. She's like, no, those are appointed by both Democrats and Republicans. It's like, we didn't even used to do this. Well, I don't know. She's like, maybe it started 100 years ago or 110 years. She seemed like fairly prepared for what was going on there, and he was not having it. He was fucking big mad. Up next, did you know that the whole problem here with Trump and Musk, which we're not going to actually spend too much time on this week, is that Musk wants to run everything like a business because he's a businessman, good businessman.
The White House's argument is predicated upon economic growth outpacing the expansion of the deficit. I can understand that argument if you have significant cuts. What Musk is saying, which I think any person who's ever run a business in this country will probably agree with, you can't cut taxes while maintaining the same level of expenditures. That's just not possible. The CBO says by 2010 or 10 years rather, our debt will be the number one line item in the federal budget. By 2050, they're expecting a 180% increase in our deficit. It's going to be twice as much of the gross production that we produce yearly. So our inability to pay this thing is not good for Americans. It's not good for taxpayers. It's also not good for the standing of the dollar globally. So I understand what Musk is saying. I think this bill ultimately is going to change into a number of iterations before it goes back to the House. So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
No, Musk is probably mad that. So there's a couple theories here. One is that somebody punched him. There's a theory that it wasn't like his kid. This must kind of, he probably doesn't care about this. The only thing he probably cares about is maybe that there are tax credits for EVs going away, and that he thinks that might hurt his business or whatever. But otherwise, I don't. I think this is all like Mean Girls shit. This is all like personal grievance and two giant egos and tiny brains clashing. Here's what Steve Bannon has to say about it.
Want to stop the dead bomb, Elon, and the guys on Capitol Hill? You're going to have to raise taxes. The wealthy can't get an extension of the tax cut. That's got to go to the middle class and the working class. That has to be extended and it has to be made permanent. At 40%, the top bracket or 40%, you pick them. That's got to go to 39, go back to 30, snap back to 39.5% and go to 40%. The math simply doesn't work.
Yo, the Democrats should be running with this fucking kind of message, not Steve Bannon, but where the Democrats at? Why aren't the Democrats running with this? Be like, you got to raise taxes on the people making all the money, and you got to raise taxes on large corporations. Where are the Democrats at? Instead, we got fucking Steve Bannon is the only one out there saying that. This is not great. I mean, whatever. If it happens because Steve Bannon says so, then like whatever. Like you don't got to hand it to Steve Bannon, I suppose. But if it happens because of that, then it happens because of that. And because we can't cover, nothing happens without somebody from Shasta talking about it. Here's Sean Fucked. He came out of Redding, California, from the Bethel movement, and he is going to pray for apartheid Clyde and Donald Trump.
We just need to pray for God to intervene, bring peace to the storm, bring heaven's solutions. So, Lord, right now, I pray, God, that you would intervene in this conflict between President Trump and Elon Musk. God, you hold the hearts of kings in your hand. You are the one, God, that can bring divine restoration to any breakdown, to any division. Lord, we just pray right now by the power of your Spirit, God, that you would move.
I don't think either of the dudes believe in God. I know Trump is a Christian nationalist, but you don't really got to believe in God to be a Christian nationalist. Yeah, I don't think either of the dudes believe in God, so I don't think either of them are going to listen or do what God says or whatever the fuck Sean Foyt thinks God's going to do here. I think all that is like unlikely, bordering on impossible. Up next, we got the new head of the FDA. He keeps going on TV.
We're going to get away from these blanket recommendations in healthy young Americans because we don't want to see, on the COVID vaccine schedule, we don't want to see kids kicked out of school because a 12-year-old girl is not getting her 5th COVID booster shot. But
that's what's not happening.
See the data there to support a young, healthy child getting a repeat infinite annual COVID vaccine. There's a theory that we should sort of blindly approve the new COVID boosters in young, healthy kids every year in perpetuity. And a young girl born today should get 80 COVID mRNA shots or other COVID shots.
80?
In her average lifespan. We're saying that's a theory, and we'd like to check in and get some randomized controlled data. It's been about 4 years since the original randomized trials. So we'd like an evidence-based approach. Dr. Prasad and I published this in the New England Journal of Medicine last week, and we're basically saying we'd like to bring some confidence back to the public around this repeat booster strategy theory.
Well, bringing some confidence back to it would probably help if you don't fucking tell people lies like we're trying to give kids 80 fucking shots. Like 80 COVID boosters specifically. Like maybe that would help bring some confidence back to all this. Did you know that apparently Dr. Oz is also a part of the government? I can't keep track of what job all these fucking ghouls have, right? But I don't know if you know this, but you're actually and part of the audience. You're not a patient, you're an audience member. Check this out. Like, I don't even think he's like misspeaking here. I think he just thinks about the world this way.
Go back into school, do something to show you have agency over your future. And if you're willing to do any of those things, we will check the box and you get to keep your free Medicaid. But if you're not willing to do those things, then we're going to ask you to go on and do something else, like go on the exchanges or get a job and get into regular commercial insurance. But we're not going to continue to pay for Medicaid for those audiences. And I think that is a very realistic effort, and it's been done in the past, actually under
like calling the audiences. It's such a fucking content brain way to talk about this. Like everybody's just an audience. Like these are people who need medical care, whether or not they're working in like Dr. Oz, like motherfucker, like this dude lives a cushy life. Motherfucker has never been out of a job, never had to go looking for work, never had to take a job he didn't like. The dude has always had whatever he wanted. And here he is out there calling you the audience when you're like trying to get health care so that you don't get bankrupted if something happens to maybe you or to your kids. My fucking God. Up next, here's some proof that Linda McMahon only got the job as the education secretary because she's rich and she's friends with Trump.
That I would like your thoughts on, simple yes or no. If this is a legal DEI, an example, would you say that it would be an illegal DEI for a lesson plan on the Tulsa Race Massacre?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Do you know what the Tulsa Race Massacre is?
I'd like to look into it more and get back to you on it.
Okay, so I look forward to that. How about the book Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges, for instance?
I haven't read that.
Have you learned?
She's like
Ruby Bridges.
If you have specific examples you'd like
that was a specific example.
I'll be very happy.
It was an incredibly specific example.
She's like, if you have specific examples, homegirl is like fucking pissed. I would be so mad. She'd be like, oh, I don't know those specific examples. Do you have any specific examples? fucking yo, this is a small part of the exchange here.
Examples you like.
That was a specific example.
I'll be very happy.
It was an
for you-
incredibly specific
for you to
example.
submit
I named
those
a
in your
specific book.
questions, and I will look into it and get back to you on
Thank
them. I
you.
look
How
forward
about
to
a
answering them
school having a
directly.
voluntary celebration for Pride Month?
Well, I think that
voluntary.
Well, let's make sure that in our schools,
This is yes or no?
that we're looking. No, it's not.
Okay. How about
Uh-oh. I like her. Mrs. Lee. I don't know who she is, but I like her. You can see she was incredibly annoyed. And I just like, I don't like that she has to be annoyed by this fucking completely incompetent fucking wrestling lady. Don't get me wrong. Charter schools and like all this stuff. Like it's not great, but at least people are like, these people are talking shit to her. Here's more.
Point diversity mean, for example, Madam Secretary, reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time, Madam Secretary, the Joint Secretary. Would the Harvard Medical School, who is looking to hire an immunologist, would that person need to adhere to HHS Secretary Kennedy's view on the efficacy of vaccines?
Listen, we all know that we should have our universities look at what all the programs are.
I don't think you really thought through this viewpoint diversity issue
that you're trying to put forth is a false narrative.
Okay.
And the funding is a privilege.
Madam Secretary, reclaim my time. Does refusing to hire a Holocaust denier as a member of Harvard's history department faculty count as an ideological litmus test?
I believe that there should be diversity of viewpoints relative to teachings and opinions on campuses.
Well, what about this situation of Harvard's history department, and they're looking for another department member? Would being a Holocaust denier count?
Well, I do know that Harvard did replace its head of Middle Eastern Studies even before we looked at it because they believed that they needed to make changes already.
Okay.
This viewpoint diversity, it doesn't mean what a normal person would think it means. It always means like Holocaust denial, like white supremacy. That's what they mean by viewpoint diversity, because like they're mad basically that academia, especially in the humanities, has sort of decided racism bad. Like things like the bell curve are not taught anymore. I don't even think there was really. Or if it is taught, it's taught in through the lens of like critical theory and critical analysis of media. Like they don't like any of this. So when they say viewpoint diversity, this has been what's always been happening here. They mean their viewpoint. They want more of it. They want diversity to the left, or to the right. But if you go off to the left and start saying free Palestine and shit, well, now you got to go. That's not the kind of viewpoint diversity we were talking about here. Up next, we got this man whose head is an empty cube. His name is Dan Bongino. He's the deputy director of the FBI, and he's going on Hannity's show to talk about the successful drone attack against the Russians by the Ukrainians. And this is stupid. This is next level dumb. This guy should go back to his podcast.
The threat picture now for the United States is dramatic, and I really appreciate we have a president, an attorney general, and FBI director who take those threats seriously. I mean, you name it, Sean. You ask me what's the biggest threat right now. People say, well, what keeps you up at night? Well, the answer is I'd never sleep if I thought about this stuff all the time, but it all keeps me up at night. The drone threat. This is a perilous, acute threat. It's not here tomorrow. It's here today. Everybody saw what happened in Russia. It's only a matter of time if we don't take action, which I promise you.
Everybody saw what happened in Russia, like a supposed ally of the United States fighting an insurgency campaign against an invading force used drones to yeet a bunch of their air force. You should be afraid.
The director and I are taking action on this threat. It is here right now. You've got the threat of AI, alignment there. You've got the threat of China, infiltration into our systems. It's been publicly reported. You've seen it. When you get the president's daily brief every morning, like the director and I do for this half an hour block we get, it's the first thing we do. You know, Sean, you walk out of there and you're like, somebody go get me a cup of coffee. I mean, this is really...
What? I mean, couldn't you get your own coffee?
It relaxes me a little bit because you go out of there, your blood pressure's through the roof. It's so many different things to act.
Somebody get me motherfucker, get your own cup of coffee. I know that's not the worst thing in there, but it sort of does see let's kind of tell a little bit about how this guy thinks what his job is. Also, what do you mean saw the security? Wouldn't you get a cup of coffee before you go to the first thing you do at work if you drink coffee? I don't know. This is wild. These people are, just be glad that these people are stupid and incompetent. Like they're more heavy-handed than last time around, but they're still stupid and incompetent. And that might be the only thing that saves this republic is that these people are idiots. ABC is going to have to answer for somebody tweeting something mean about Stephen Miller.
Last night, in a since-deleted post, so-called journalist Terry Moran went on a rampage against Stephen Miller. What happened, Caroline?
Well, ABC is going to have to answer for what their, again, so-called journalist put out on Twitter in the wee hours of the night, calling Stephen Miller vile. They said that President Trump is a world-class hater. And this is, again, coming
Fuck yeah. Oh, man, ABC should have stood tall, but instead this guy quit.
Who is supposed to be an unbiased and professional journalist. This is unacceptable and unhinged.
Wait, no, a professional journalist isn't supposed to necessarily be unbiased.
Coming from someone who works at a major television network, we have reached out to ABC. They have said they will be taking action, so we will see what they do. But I think this speaks to...
It's only cancel culture when the left does it.
Trust that the American public have in the legacy media, and it's why in the White House press shop and in President Trump's White House we have made so many significant and much needed changes to press access and transparency at the White House. We've invited in new media, we have shaken up the White House press pool, and we also just won a major victory over the Associated Press, who thought that they had a constitutional right to walk into the Oval Office or to fly on Air Force One, and a judge said no. In fact, those are privileged spaces that belong to the President of the United States. And this is a great ruling for democracy.
When was the last time the president kicked the AP? Like, took the AP out of the press? I think it's never. I don't even think during the first term Trump took the AP out of the press pool.
In court, and we won. And so we will continue to keep or hold journalists accountable. All we're asking for is truth and transparency. That's it.
Of course. And you said ABC is going to take action. What do you expect that action to be?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully this journalist will either be suspended or terminated. You cannot go on these unhinged rants against administration officials and the President of the United States. And then clearly he knew he was wrong because he deleted the post as soon as he allegedly woke up this morning.
Caroline.
I don't think he did it because he knew he was wrong. I think his bosses told him to delete the post. Like, what does ABC have to answer for? Like, maybe ABC doesn't want their reporters doing this. There might be like wording in the contract or the employment agreement where you're not supposed to do stuff like this. And maybe he would have got fired anyway. These people, they're like out there going, oh, well, ABC has to answer to us. No, they don't. The only profession mentioned in the First Amendment is the press, right? That's the only job really that they mentioned in the First Amendment. So they don't have to answer to you at all. That's incorrect. This is great. Remember everybody fucking freaking about their HIPAA rights during the fucking pandemic? All them right wingers talking about how asking you to wear a mask and stuff, the violation of your HIPAA rights. Well, don't worry. If they don't like your politics and you're an elected leader and maybe you were the last president, they're going to fucking try to subpoena your doctor.
Phone, and at the end of the day, we made demands that he had to come in and answer questions, and they could refuse to do that. So I'm going to announce on your show tonight that he will receive a subpoena tomorrow. Dr. O'Connor will be the first person to receive an official subpoena. We're serious about these people coming in, so now he's going to have to come in and do a full-blown deposition as opposed to a transcribed interview.
Yo, if this guy does anything other than answer every question that has to do with Joe Biden's medical history and just say, I am bound by a professional and obligation and personal morality not to discuss the specifics of any treatment I've given to any patient, and to do so would violate HIPAA rules. So I'm not doing this. If he does anything other than that, then he's a coward. Because that's like literally what your doctor is supposed to do. is like 100% for sure what your doctor is supposed to do. It ain't because it's Joe Biden's doctor. I don't give a fuck whose doctor it is. Up next, they're going to take away the funding for high-speed rail in California, I guess, because they think that it's bad or that it's mismanaged. And to be fair, the high-speed rail project in California hasn't gone so well. But a lot of it has to do with just getting access to the land, right? It's real hard. You can't just go around eminent domaining everybody. So getting access to the land has been hard. It's a big project. It's a huge project. And the federal government should be supporting high-speed rail throughout the country. But what they want you to do is drive your car.
Ask you about this. This is a story I've followed since I first lived in San Diego years and years ago. I think the California high-speed rail thing is so preposterous. The Wall Street Journal editorial board has covered this story for years. I read it every single time. You just came out with a report. What did you find?
Yeah. So we have a 300-page report that came out that basically says the timelines and the budget for the California high-speed rail is that they can't meet them, right? And so we have $4 billion that has been authorized to go to California to build this project, and we don't want to invest in boondoggles. And so we basically found that they're not going to be able to complete the project, which I think all of Californians and all of Americans knew. But we're going to give them 30 days to respond to us. If they think we're wrong, we'll hear them out. But after that, if they don't make a good case, we're going to take that money back. You know, I want to see high-speed rail in America. Dana, you go to Europe, they have high-speed rail everywhere, and it works. Why it can't be built in America, and why it can't be built within time frames that work for the people that invest in these projects makes no sense to me. And again, we'll look for good projects to invest in. This does not appear to be one of them. Not one high-speed track has been laid, and we're $16 billion in.
So the point, I think, of this project is that they're going to use the existing tracks.
Years into the project, and again, this has all the markings of boondoggle.
Can I ask a selfish question? Could we get high-speed rail between Washington, D.C. and New York?
So listen, I've asked that
Dude, get on the Amtrak like everybody else. It ain't like the bullet train and shit, but that goes pretty fast. Just get on the Amtrak like everybody else. Fucking Becky, shut the fuck up.
Because it would be great, highly traveled. It has to be straight, and that track, meanders, from Newark to
along the coast
to Jersey. So again, if we could figure out how all the players come together and we get a straight line between the two cities, yes,
that's the problem California's having.
It's more complicated than just saying money. We need. It's going to take time to do that.
All right.
But it'd be wonderful if we could make that happen, Dana.
I still have a dream.
So. That's the problem California's having too, is if the train's going faster and they're not widening the tracks, then it's going to, the route isn't going to have to be like perfectly straight, but it can't corner as sharply. It just can't. It's physics. And like, that's one of the problems happening in California. But the other problem is like, it's assholes like this. Every time something goes wrong, they start threatening to cut funding, and then maybe like the people building the California rail need to like sort of readjust what they're doing and figure out like what happens if this funding does get cut. Now they're fucking hamstrung by all this, and not for nothing. Congress approved this funding, so not to say that they won't do it, but technically the president shouldn't be able to pull the funding, right? The executive should not be able to pull funding that has already been allocated. Up next, it's been a while since we've seen old fucking Newt Gingrich. Every time I see him, I'm surprised the motherfucker isn't dead, to be honest. Wishful thinking, I suppose. Here is him suggesting that maybe we should just get rid of the judiciary.
And it feels like, with the Trump administration, their mass deportation agenda, every day, every week, there's some sort of federal judge issuing an injunction. There's been all sorts of them. And that was kind of the idea behind a Senate hearing the other day. President Trump still battling that federal judiciary as individual judges have blocked dozens of his orders. In less than 5 months, Trump has been hit with 39 nationwide injunctions. That's
Hell yeah.
Far more than former President Biden had over 4 years, and more than double what Presidents George W. Bush and Obama had in their combined 8-year terms. A Senate hearing yesterday on these injunctions ended up getting heated. Take a listen.
One unelected district judge can now issue a nationwide injunction that ties the hands of the President of the United States.
Can now? Ted Cruz, that Ted Cruz, that was all, no, and that's not now. Ted Cruz, Raphael. That was always one of the powers that a federal district court had.
That's not law. That's judicial tyranny. Did the
Mayor
Biden
Garland,
DOJ arrest a single person under this law?
You are now changing the.
No, that is what I said. That is what I said.
Again, I'll pull the record.
Did the Biden DOJ arrest even one?
Again.
The answer is no. All right, so let me ask you.
Of federal
this.
judges. I did not interrupt you, sir. I would appreciate if you let me finish. I am sick and tired of hearing the kind of heated partisan rhetoric.
You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who are you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024, and you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful of federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court.
I bet he's reading a transcript from a podcast where like she was on it and the host said the word evil.
Gag me with a spoon.
Gag me with a spoon, he said.
Gag me with a spoon. Like he's a Valley girl. He's so hip and cool. He's from the Valley.
Your thoughts on that exchange?
Well, look, he's always colorful. I testified recently to the House Judiciary Committee. I began by reading the names of 14 people who were the judges who were eliminated by Jefferson in the Judiciary Act of 1802. They didn't impeach them. They just wiped out their courts. These district judges are unconstitutional. What they're doing is...
Wait, the district judges are not unconstitutional. What is he talking about? Now unconstitutional just means that fucking shit the way the fucking government works that I don't like. Literally, the judiciary it's in the Constitution. The specific way that it works in the year of our fucking Lord 2025, every letter and word of it isn't in the Constitution, but this is all outlined by the Constitution.
Violation of the Constitution. And if the Supreme Court doesn't get them under control, the Congress and the president are going to have to abolish a number of judges and get their attention. There's also a bill which has passed the House with Darrell Issa and Senator Grassley has in the Senate, which would eliminate nationwide injunctions. It would say a district judge can only issue an injunction in their district. But what's currently going on...
But wait a minute, no, that's the point of having like fucking state and like local, that's the point of having state and municipal or state and county like courts.
A judicial tyranny and basically an effort to take over the presidency by individual left-wing judges.
And there was another nationwide injunction that's grabbing all sorts of...
So like these aren't all judges appointed. Okay, first of all, I don't think you really end up as a judge if you're like a lefty, like a communist or whatever. I think it's probably a fucking bit of a steep climb for you. But also, like, a lot of these judges were appointed by Republicans.
Headlines, that one having to do with putting taxpayers back on the hook for prison inmates' gender treatments. Listen to this. A judge yesterday blocking the administration from withholding those taxpayer-funded treatments to more than 1,000 transgender inmates.
I think the theory here, or the idea here, is that the money's already been allocated, right? That's what all that's happening here is this is all money that's already been allocated. And so after Congress allocates funds for something, the executive can't just go in and say, "Nuh-uh." That's not how this works. That's probably all the judge is saying here.
And presidential candidate Kamala Harris touted her role in leading for advocates for these treatments in California, making it a, quote, critical part of the 2024 campaign conversation. Take a listen.
I made sure that they...
Yeah, but homegirl lost. What are you doing now?
The policy in the state.
What, is she like fucking shadow controlling the courts?
So that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. I feel very strongly about this, and at its core, it's a civil rights issue, it's a justice issue, and it's an issue of humanity.
So she ended up getting hammered by Republicans for those comments. Also said she'd want it for transgender illegal aliens, wants taxpayers to fund that.
Look, I think the average American thinks all of this is insane.
Who's the average American? Like my mom or something?
Position to using your money or my money.
When they say average American, I think he means himself, right? He means like some rich old fucking white guy.
Or our relatives' money to pay for people who are criminals, by definition, in prison in order to make them feel better about themselves. And I think that this is where the Democratic Party's gotten it. It has a whole series of these 15, 20% issues where the whole rest of the country looks and says, that makes no sense. But they are so deeply committed, whether it's defending illegal immigrants who are criminals, whether it is defending men winning in women's sports, or whether it is you and I having to pay as taxpayers.
I think this issue is going to die. I think this is not going to work for them during the midterms. I think most people don't care about this, but they kind of don't care in the like none of my business direction, I think.
The average American thinks all this stuff is nuts.
And real quick, 20 seconds. If you were the House Speaker right now, what's a step you would do to try to rein in some of these federal judges with these nationwide injunctions?
Well, the House has already passed the ISA bill. I hope the Senate will pass Grassley's bill. And at that point, the president should sign it. That eliminates it. In the absence of that, I hope the Appropriations Committee will seriously consider following Thomas Jefferson's example and simply zero out funding for a number of these judges.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out.
No, that's like, what the fuck, dude? I mean, so we don't like how you ruled, so we're going to eliminate your district court by taking away its funding. I'm sorry. I fucking fuck the Republican Party, but I don't think they're going to get enough of the people in the Republican Party to do that shit. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to do that. Check this out. This is Chuck Dworkin, I think. Chuck Dworkin. He's North Carolina. He's a congressman from North Carolina. And stuff like this is just going to keep happening at these people's meetings. And good.
You're lying. I'm a veteran. You don't give a fuck about me. Shut the fuck up.
Look at him get off me. Fucking rent-a-cop.
So to be clear, I deeply value the contributions that just to be clear.
Oh God, to be clear, I love the troops like Michael Vick used to love dogs.
Quiet down.
Let him speak. Let him
speak. For example, folks at the National Weather Service are fired.
Homies, they started this. Remember during COVID when every time even just a centrist or a non-elected, non-political official would be anywhere talking about like the vaccines or the masks or whatever, and all the fucking cookers and shit would go and fucking yell at them, fucking yell at everybody from the fucking head of the county board of supervisors all the way to the fucking cashier at the Safeway. They were just yelling at people and disrupting the meetings and stuff. And well, now it's not just them doing it because everybody else saw it, and you're like, oh shit, I can just go in there and start fucking yelling at this guy. Fuck yeah. So now you're getting it. Now it's going to be from both groups of people. This isn't going to be good. We're going to probably start seeing fucking different factions of people fighting. We might even see somebody get killed at a local meeting or one of these or one of these places where a candidate or an elected official goes out. Things are only going to escalate from here. And if our friends, whoever on the political right, they want to say, oh, they're disrupting the meetings, I go, fucking all right. Well, you ever heard of chickens coming home to roost? You're the ones who started this, not us. We were fine to leave well enough alone at the candidate forum and the fucking board of supervisors and the school board meeting. We were fine to leave well enough alone because that shit's boring. Y'all had to up the fucking ante. Here we are. Here we go. Here's the head of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. This is a civil rights organization, right? He seems great. Fucking fantastic.
And what I really want is, whether it's social media influencers on Twitch and YouTube like Hassan Piker, or other kind of promoters of hate on YouTube and TikTok like Guy Christensen, or like, these speakers at these graduations. It just happened the other day at MIT, spreading blood libels about the Jewish people or the Jewish state. It creates the conditions in which this kind of act is happening with increasing frequency. We've got to stop it once and for all. I hope the Trump administration will do just that.
Well, what does he propose that we do? Listen, friends, some of you hang out in Hassan's chat during the day, I'm sure. I don't know beef with Hassan. I'm not like a huge fan of him or whatever. Like, I don't really watch other streamers, but this is dumb. This is dumb as fuck. Homeboy is just giving his opinion about politics in the politics category on Twitch, and he's been quite successful at it. And that's it. I don't know. He's said some things about Israel that I wouldn't personally say, but that doesn't mean that he's saying shit about Jews, right? Israel isn't Jews and Jews aren't Israel. Israel is a nation state that has all the privileges and responsibilities of a sovereign nation state. And one of the things that as a sovereign nation state, they have to deal with is people criticizing them, people criticizing their behavior. And it doesn't matter how many fucking American dudes you have come out here trying to fucking blur this line and act like criticizing Israel means you hate your Jewish neighbor. I think it's starting to fall on fucking deaf ears. I think people don't believe this. I think for a while people believed it, but you can't just keep fucking lying like this and expect everybody to fucking believe it forever, because people are fucking figuring it out. People are smart. Not everybody, but people are smart. I know people in my personal life who at the beginning, like October 7th, were very pro-Israel and who were always pro-Israel. And now they're not. Now they're not. And it's because of what the nation state of Israel has been doing for fucking pushing 2 years now. People see that shit and they're like, that's wrong. And so people see that shit and they say that's wrong, and people are going to express themselves in different ways. I try to be more measured and I don't try to not say what's going on, but I try to keep the rhetoric down a little bit here, try to keep things a little bit more chill. But other people, maybe they see what's happening and they're mad enough that they don't want to keep the rhetoric chill. Now I guess they get to be an anti-fucking Semite or some shit. And the president of a fucking very powerful lobby group, because that's what the ADL is. They're not a civil rights group. They're a lobby group for the Israeli government. That's what they exist to do now. I don't know if that's always been what they existed to do, but that's what they do now. So now if you're out there and you get any kind of traction talking about this in any way that they don't like, without saying please and thank you to these motherfuckers, now you're on their radar. And honestly, I don't, depending on fucking what happens here, I think that Twitch is going to back out. Twitch is going to back down, and they're probably going to kick Hassan off the platform, because I think they're just going to back down to power, because why wouldn't they? And then he'll go to YouTube, and I think YouTube will back down to power. I know his stuff is already on YouTube. And then he'll go on Kick, and even Kick will back down to power if things continue going the way they are. The flip side of this is that with the protests happening about ICE, I think people are going to kind of forget about what's going on in Palestine. And I'm going to tell you, you can look at both. Don't look away from either. Up next, even Piers Morgan is tired of this bullshit. Imagine fucking Piers Morgan getting tired of this. Imagine Piers Morgan being like, all right, you're sucking up to power too much. Think about how stupid what you have to be saying is to get Piers Morgan to do this.
Israel has decided no journalists from outside can go in.
For 3 reasons.
And make that assessment themselves.
Yes.
What right does Israel have to do that?
For 3 reasons. Will you allow me to finish?
Well, there are no reasons.
It's
none of your business whether the journalists view their safety as being at risk.
I'm sorry.
Again, you don't got to hand it to Piers Morgan, but at some point, I mean, friends, when you lose Piers Morgan,
You haven't heard the reasons yet. The first, of course, is the safety of the journalists, and I appreciate you don't accept that. The second...
I think it's a load of nonsense.
The second is the safety...
The idea you're doing is that some quaint concern for the safety of journalists is bullshit.
That was reason number one. Reason number two is the ability...
These better get better.
Is the ability of IDF...
Oh, they're going to lose. That's what I'm saying, is they're losing the normies, dude. They're losing. Piers Morgan is like a fucking conservative and kind of a normie. They're losing fucking conservative normies on this issue.
Or against Hamas without...
without the journalists getting in the way?
No, without...
They've actually, by the way, they've killed more journalists in Palestinian journalists than in any war
Hamas
in
members
modern
wearing
history.
press vests are not journalists. And reason number three...
So none of them are journalists?
And reason number three...
So just to be clear, none of the Palestinian journalists who've been killed are actually journalists.
I said Hamas members.
Oh, they're all Hamas members?
Those that are... And
every single dead Palestinian journalist is a member of Hamas. Is that your position?
No, listen, I appreciate Piers.
That is also bullshit.
But misrepresenting...
God, imagine being so bad at fucking... Well, I mean, they're good. I mean, imagine that you're doing it. Like, imagine just... What? What are we watching here?
So that's 2 out of 2. What's the third reason?
Our mutual friend Douglas Murray was embedded with the IDF in Lebanon.
You said the words yourself. I love Douglas, but he was embedded with the IDF.
Right.
See, this is, well, why the fuck do you love Douglas Murray? Fuck Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray is a white supremacist.
He's unbelievably pro-Israel.
Let me finish.
So, of course, he was going to write what he witnessed while embedded with the IDF.
No, let me finish what his experiences there were. The difference is that...
You have to tell me.
Who gives a fuck what some white supremacist says about the IDF?
There is something I think that you won't have heard. The IDF are able to allow journalists into Lebanon. He wasn't the only one. There were many other international journalists with him.
There have been a tiny... No.
Those other international journalists with him.
Yeah, when they do this, somebody in chat was like, oh, they let him around and stuff. When they do this, when they embed you with this group of people, it limits your access. It does not increase your access. You are now at the behest of the commanding officer. You are essentially in the chain of command, at the very bottom of the chain of command as a journalist. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. After the embedding the journalists happened after Vietnam. The United States started embedding journalists with groups of military, basically the only way to go to a place that were enacting war, because of what happened in Vietnam. That bloody, horrible war was on television for everybody to see. And these people, this lady over here, doesn't want that to happen. She doesn't, it's okay. It's going to, like, people on Twitter are going to post stuff, but what she doesn't want is like legacy journalists having the ability to go in there, not just like legacy journalists from the United States, but from the United Kingdom, from Germany, from France, having the ability to go in there and report on what is happening using the megaphone of these legacy media outlets. And so she wants them embedded, and she wants the kinds of people who would embed with the IDF, like Douglas fucking Murray, being the one who gives the information to the people of Great Britain.
Claire,
there have been a tiny handful of journalists led in by the IDF in tightly controlled environments to witness what the IDF were prepared to let them see.
And you know what those journalists
actually, what it needs
said?
this war to stop the bullshit, which is out of control, by the way, in this last 3 minutes, is to let international journalists go in and do their jobs. And they will worry with their networks or organizations about their safety, but they should be allowed to do their jobs. And there's only one reason why the Israeli government doesn't want international journalists crawling all over Gaza. It's because they do not want them reporting what they will find. Which, by the way, will include the bodies of thousands of children who you, on the Israeli side, are not counting as you count the terrorists you kill, but who journalists would.
Reason number 3 is that those journalists that were in Lebanon said that they had to be very careful about what they reported because of what Hezbollah would do to their colleagues in Beirut. The fact that international journalists have sunk to this level, that they would allow their reportage to be controlled by terrorist organizations, Iranian...
Oh, she's like, it shouldn't be controlled by terrorist organizations. The IDF should control the flow of information because the IDF good, terrorists bad.
included is despicable. That is the real issue here that has driven
Actually,
the
it's not.
international
The real
community.
issue
Of course
is
it is. This is terrorist organizations propaganda.
Actually, it's not. Let me bring David.
And the fact that you will not allow me to answer a single question.
You know what?
Here
You've made
will
all
be
your
perfectly
points, and they
evident to
all,
your
I'm
viewers.
afraid,
I haven't. I certainly
turned out
haven't
to be
made all my
bullshit.
points.
So let me bring in Dave.
This is like I'm saying, man, this is fucking amazing. There's no bigger suck up to power more broadly than Piers Morgan. And the power in this situation is clearly the IDF, the Israeli government. Piers Morgan, as like a matter of course, would want access to members of the Israeli government. And like, they just lost him. Like, I haven't been watching too closely the Piers Morgan thing, but it looks like this lady like fucking lost him because, I mean, again, fuck Piers Morgan, but he's right. He's like, you don't want, he's like, why do you want the journalists to, be bandied about by the IDF? She's like saying, well, they're under influence by such and such a what's-a-who's it. Like, no, I mean, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but like, is the answer to that if you want more open journalism to make sure that journalists are only allowed to go in if they're embedded with your military? Like, this is bullshit. This is such obvious bullshit. Even Piers Morgan figured out that it's bullshit. My God. Up next, that one lady earlier, I forget which one. She was talking about how like valedictorians were saying shit at their speech. Well, this is part of a speech that was given by a valedictorian. I believe this is from Harvard, the Harvard valedictorian. And people were big mad about this.
If there's a woman anywhere in the world who cannot afford a period pad, it makes me poor. If a girl who skips school out of fear of harassment that threatens my dignity, if a little boy dies in a war that he didn't start and never understood, part of me dies with him. But today, that promise of a connected world is giving way to division, fear, and conflict. We're starting to believe those who think differently, vote differently, or pray differently, whether they are across the ocean or sitting right next to us, are not just wrong. We mistakenly see them as evil. But it doesn't have to be this way. What I've gained most from Harvard isn't just calculus or regression analysis. It's to sit with discomfort, listen deeply, and stay soft in hard times. Because if we still believe in a shared future, let us not forget those who we label as enemies, they too are human. In seeing their humanity, we find our own.
See, this kind of shit is what they hate about the universities, right? They're not really concerned that the universities aren't teaching calculus or whatever. It's that homegirl believes in an interconnected world, and they don't like that. They probably also don't like that she speaks with a bit of an accent. What is she doing being valedictorian? Harvard is an American school. Like, there's so many reasons that people were probably pretty fucking mad at her. And she didn't really say anything controversial. To some extent, she kind of both sides everything. But like, what is she? This is a commencement speech, right? She's not running for office or trying to overthrow the government. She just finished Harvard. So this old dude is pretty cool. I fucking thought this was going to go a whole ass other way. But this old dude is cool.
Opinion on trans people. Wow, I've only been asked this question 100,000 times at least. Well, how about this? I'm going to turn it around. I wonder what trans people's opinion of me is. Because you see, I choose to wear overalls and work boots and a ball cap. And I choose to go hunting, and I choose to go fishing, and I choose to live my life the way I want to live it. I wonder if that affects trans people's lives in the least. The answer to that is no, it doesn't. Well, guess what? If Jack wants to call himself Jill and wants to wear a dress and wants to live his life the way he wants to live it and wants to think of himself as herself, that doesn't affect me in the fucking least. I don't give two shits. I don't care. So let trans people live their lives, and I'm going to live my life. And other people go live their lives. You know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you want to change your name from Sarah to Sam, or you want to change your name from Sam to Sarah, that's what makes you happy. You have a constitutional right to do so. That's my opinion. Hope y'all have a good day now.
He was like, I wonder what they think of me. Fucking cool old guy. It's a little kind of ham-fisted or whatever, but like a cool old guy. There are a lot of fucking dudes that get fucking talk to you about shit from their fucking car who have a whole ass other different way thinking about stuff. So we're getting kind of close to the end here. I think we got a few more stories before we go into red light. I got two clips here. These abundance people, this book that came out, Ezra Klein, and I forget who else wrote it, but it's now they got this Richie Torres idiot on this abundance tip. And I think this might be the thing that actually undoes the fucking Democrats in the midterms. This bullshit. It's like adjacent to that effective altruism bullshit that was going around for a while. And I think it's going to sink the Democrats. I think nobody wants to hear this bullshit, and they're going to go with it anyway.
A lot of abundance fans here today. When I look at policies in New York that stand in the way of abundance, very often if you look under the hood, you eventually find a labor union at the end that is the driver of that. I mean, to take some examples, it is illegal to build a new hotel in New York anywhere in the city without special permission from the City Planning Commission. This is a law that was lobbied for by the Hotel Workers Union and has had the intended effect of shielding existing hotels from competition, driving up hotel rates. City's also basically banned Airbnb. You talk about the expensive subways. On the operating side, you have a transit workers union that lobbies for things like using two-person crews to drive subway trains, which is done almost nowhere else in the world. On the capital side, it's the construction trade unions that have imposed a lot of practices that drive up cost. We have a law that is supposed to drive the production of new housing, privately built housing in New York City, that was amended at the behest of those construction trades to create union set-asides that have greatly increased the cost to deliver housing under that program and reduce the production. Is there a way to have a pro-abundance Democratic Party agenda in New York without breaking the strong link that exists between the New York Democratic Party and the labor movement?
Although I do not blame, I want to be clear, I do not blame the groups. I blame the elected officials. I think we, the elected officials, should tell the groups, everyone should have a seat at the table, everyone's voice should be heard, but no one's going to have veto power. And we're no longer going to pursue policies that manufacture scarcities. I think that's the burden of elected officials. But I don't begrudge any group for lobbying for its own interests, but I think elected officials need to learn how to say no to the groups.
I'm telling you, I'm not fucking wrong, dude. The Dems are going to run with this bullshit. It is fucking absolute bullshit, and they're going to get cooked with it. They're not going to lose on the national level, but if you remember, you try to remember that during the midterms, there's going to be local, state, and county races, and they're going to get fucking cooked. They're going to get cooked hella bad with this shit because it's some fucking technocratic bullshit. It's like, oh, we need to do abundance, and notice everything that got in the way of their so-called abundance was either for the safety of the worker or to make sure the worker was had a reasonable wage and had protections from capital. Those were all of the things that they brought up. Like, it might be nice if you're driving a subway train to have like someone there with you. I don't know. Sure, probably makes the train safer for the fucking passengers having two people there, right? I would assume it does. Anyway, during the middle of this, there was because Richie Torres hasn't been, let's say, great on Palestine. There was a protest.
Kathy Hochul still won by 6 points.
I think we have protesters. Welcome.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wait.
Hundreds of thousands of people dead, innocent women, men, children.
Oh, enough already. Freedom is a beautiful thing. Thank God for freedom.
Because of you.
Thank God. We live in a country where you can protest your member of Congress. Thank God. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
You represent your constituents. You represent a pro-Israel lobby that has given you millions. Do you feel no shame? $500,000 in the last election cycle. You are not a trailblazer. You will be remembered for your support of a genocide. You should not be honored on this stage. You should be tried. Brought up Israel twice as much as you have brought up property.
It's called Welcome. I mean, look at this thing. I didn't even notice this. This thing is called Welcome Fest 2025. Where the fuck is Andrew Yang? Andrew Yang should 100% be at whatever the fuck this is. I bet Andrew Yang was at that. What do you guys want to bet? Was fucking Andrew Yang there? I bet Andrew Yang was there. That's the most Andrew Yang fucking coded thing I've seen. The whole event. Andrew Yang is going to get on this, and we're going to see him. We won't see him again actually until 2027, 2028. He and the Green Party will come back into our media space like hordes of cicadas. This is somebody named Jack Hibbs. I think we've been making fun of him a little bit lately. Some Christian nationalist pastor. Oh, I remember him. Yeah, he's going to talk that he's going to pray for Trump and say that all Trump's problems are because he's not fucking dealing enough with God. You know, that kind of stuff. Same thing they always say when Trump fails is he's just not Christianing hard enough. Here it is, Jack Hibbs.
And then we've watched the recent breakup between President Trump and Elon Musk. What's going on? Are we watching possibly the collapse of the Trump mega dynasty? Are we watching the collapse of the Trump doctrine? Because one thing we know for sure, any leader, any nation that turns its back on Israel turns its back on the God of Israel. Is this actually...
This is so crazy because no, like none of this, like even like you can't even justify this with your Bible. This is so fucking crazy because the nation state we know as Israel is not that old. Like what the... Oh no. Oh man.
Symptom to having circled around Jesus Christ but have never really come to Jesus Christ? Is this an outcome of knowing about the Bible, but not knowing truly the Bible? What we may be seeing is the manifestation of what happens when you talk about God, when God even spares your life, but you could very well wind up not knowing God and in the end be completely destitute, because God is not a man that he should lie, nor is he someone that we should toy with.
So in a way, this guy isn't wrong, right? Obviously, nobody like believes that Donald Trump is like a churchgoer or in any way like interested in Christianity other than the way for him to get power. But it just sucks that like Jack Hibbs is Jack Hibbs, and he had to frame it as like he's not Christian-y enough or whatever, instead of framing it like, hey, y'all got played by a con man who used your religiosity to gain power. And now he's not doing what you want or whatever. Up next, a guest on the Charlie Kirk show says we should just get rid of Pride Month because, of course, a guest on Charlie Kirk says this.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, listen, and Charlie put out a tweet to this extent, but I couldn't agree more. Pride, most people will accept that two grown adults have, freedom within the privacy of their own home. Nobody wants to be policing that. I mean, some people do, but like the vast majority of Americans are not interested in that, right? But Pride was
we don't necessarily approve, but we're not looking to ban it or really even talk about it all that much.
Yeah, exactly. Like
what you're doing right here.
The things I'm much more interested in than two adults' sex life that I may find disgusting or uncomfortable or whatever. But that's that's my right to feel that way. It's their right to do whatever. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. Secondly, though, what the fundamental flaw of Pride is that it was coercive. It was designed to force not only acceptance, the thing we just talked about. That's not what we're talking about. It was designed to push the limits and then make you celebrate, forced celebration, and then forced participation. Your kids will hold the rainbow flag in their hand and cheer it on, or your kids will have to talk about it or act it out or, write essays on it or watch it on TV. They can't escape it. It's fundamentally coercive. It's a cultural tyranny of sorts. And I think we should just get rid of it altogether. I mean, that's where I'm at. I do not want Pride Month anymore in my country.
Oh, no.
It's corrosive. I find it unproductive.
Just bang your fists on the table. Get on the ground and bang your fists and kick.
And morally repugnant when you see the way that they go about in the streets, grown men whipping each other, wearing leather straps. You got like
Fuck yeah. Like I always say this, and I haven't had to say this yet. Your kids will be safe at a Pride festival, but Pride is not for your kids.
A state senator out of California who's pictured doing these types of things.
Oh, they're talking about that guy that fucking Dan Bidandi hates, Senator Wiener, California State Senator Wiener.
You cannot normalize that type of behavior and still have a moral and upright culture. You just simply can't. And by the way,
you can't. And
I would feel the same, Alex, if it was straight couples doing the same thing out in the middle of the street. There's no place for that.
But straight couples are welcome to do that. Welcome to do that at Pride. They can whip each other. You can bring your heterosexual life partner with you to Pride and whip them. People will be like, fuck yeah, straight people. You can actually do that. Like I said, there is even like parts of Pride that are sectioned off, like family parts of Pride. And that's fine. That's good. That's like, whatever. Your kids are going to be fine there. But it's for adults. Pride is a party for adults. And it's totally fine, actually, that there are spaces where the idea is for adults to have fun. Don't worry, we're going to replace Pride Month with Family Month. It's family time.
Family was God's plan and his ways are perfect. That's what it says in Psalm 18. And sadly, the left hijacked June to, present perversion, to cause gender confusion, and basically to give license for individuals to be indecent in public. And
fuck yeah.
I'm taking it back for the American family.
No, you're not. No, you're not. There's gonna be nudity at Pride forever, and there's like nothing you can do about it. I'm sorry. Pride is for adults. Kids are gonna be fine there. I believe the media wench gonna take her kids there. Her kids are gonna be fine there. I might go with them. It'll be fun. Family fun for everyone. Except I will clearly not stay with them the whole time because they might go to the family fun for everyone part of the thing, and that's not for me. So everybody, this is the second broadcast of the Plex during Pride Month. The temperature is turned up dramatically, and there's a lot of things. Don't take your eye off of things, and help where you can, and where you can't help because you're not local or whatever. Just be annoying. Just annoy conservatives on the internet. Annoy these people. Annoy the bootlickers. Annoy the shit libs that are telling the protesters to protest more politely or whatever. Fucking annoy all of these people. Fuck them. All right, we're going to go into red light. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the podcast portion of the show. If you'd like the red light portion of the show sent to your inbox the very next day after we record this, that's on Mondays. You can go to patreon.com/echoplex or eplex.store, sign up at the $5 a month or higher level. And if you do sign up at eplex.store, you get a discount on our merch as well as supporting this project. So this is Boomers by Periscope. I'm going to change the color of the lights and the contents of my beverage. And we got some weird shit for red light. I'll be right back.